Okay, now we can do our export. So I'll start with the frame. I'm just going to copy the name here and we'll export it as an FBX. So export selected. We have a folder already created called front door. We'll put it in there. So export the frame. Now we'll export the door. Okay, let's jump into the Unreal Engine. And again, just for anyone that's joined the channel since I started, the only change I made to the side doors here was I did separate the stained glass from the door frame. Again, you do that if you want to break the glass without affecting the door frame. I actually did it though so that we could get a bit of transparency happening through the glass. If you look at our background horizon line there, you can just see it. Let me zoom in through the glass here. So I just wanted to add a bit of transparency to make the glass look a bit more realistic. That's the only change I made off stream from what you saw me do yesterday. Just I re-exported the frame out with the glass separated, and I made an instance of the material we used for the frame so that I could add a bit of opacity to the stained glass. Alright, and then we created a blueprint for that so that will make it easy for us to move around in our level when we want to place it. So we're going to jump back into our models folder here and we're going to import those two pieces of geometry we just exported. Front door. We want the front door frame. What's going on there? Not sure what's going on here. It's talking about an import node. There's no name in the FBX file. It's not referenced in any hierarchy node. Let's see if it'll import the door. Okay, the door came in. I'm just going to jump back into Max and have a look at what's going on with the frame. Make sure I'm not grouped, and I'm not. I'm at edit poly, so that should be fine. Just going to isolate the selection for the frame. The error in Unreal is saying, where are we? I'll do another import. It's cleared out the error, so we'll try and do another import and we'll look at the error message. So we'll import the frame. It's telling me it's failed to import the frame. It wants me to check the log. I checked the log and it's telling me mesh geometry have no name. Geometry has no name in the FBX file. It's not referenced in any hierarchy node. Could not find any node import file, so I'm not sure what it's talking about here with the node. Generally nodes, I'm not using a node. And then it says geometry have no name. I'm not sure what they mean by that. So I'm going to jump back into Max and see what's going on with this mesh. I can't see why it would be a problem. I haven't got any modifiers on the object that could cause a problem for FBX. It's just a mesh object. I do look like I might have a bit of a problem with the side pieces though, so we might want to fix that up anyway. Just in that they're a little bit wide. Looks like they're wide on both sides. And that looks like actually it's a UV error that I'm looking at here. It's not a mesh error, so that's not the problem. I'm going to re-export the mesh again before I fix those. Yeah, no, I've never seen it either, Sniper Echo. I don't know what it's complaining about, but I'll re-export the mesh, and we'll try importing it again, making sure all of my settings are correct, and they are. We'll jump back into Unreal. I also want to make sure I don't have a mesh already called that anywhere. Side door frame, no, it should be fine. Let's try re-importing it again. Front door frame. Certainly doesn't like it. Mesh geometry have no name. It's not referenced for any hierarchy node. That certainly is a new one on me as well. I've not come across that before. I'm going to do a convert to an edit poly. I'm going to do another reset on my X form to make sure. Collapse my stack. We do have a gap here which we really shouldn't. Again though, this butts up against the brickwork, so it's probably not going to be noticed. Although yeah, I'll re-export again. We'll give it another go. Get back into Unreal and try importing it again. All okay. The user probably exported only the mesh shape without the transform node. Sniper Echo says he just did a quick look up online, and apparently the message means the user probably exported only the mesh shape without the transform node. No, well basically this error looks like Unreal thinks that I'm trying to import an animated mesh. You don't generally have a hierarchy node in a static mesh. It's only generally in an animated mesh you'll have a hierarchy. And hierarchy is more to do with animation and bones than anything. And there's nothing like that in the mesh, so I don't know what it's complaining about. It's just a straight piece of geometry. There's no hierarchy going on at all. Unless it didn't like me moving my pivot, because that is the hierarchy tab here. I'm going to recenter the pivot to the middle of the object, and we'll see if that makes it happy. Yeah, my import settings should be okay. My export settings are fine. It's what I always use. Smoothing groups, triangulate, and preserve edge orientation. So the export setting shouldn't be a problem. We'll look at the import setting now.
I tried so hard.
Again, it's pretty standard from what I use. Remove degenerates. Build adjacency buffer, build preserve index buffer, generate light maps, convert the hull, transform the vertex. I have to turn it off because I don't want to move the pivot. And there's really nothing else in here that could be causing a problem. I have skeletal mesh turned off. That would be a problem if I had that turned on, because that would be using hierarchy. But that's not turned on, so that shouldn't be a problem. Let's try importing it now that I've moved the vertex position. Nope. That's very odd. Geometry have no name in the FBX file. It's not referenced by any hierarchy. No. I've not seen that. That's a new one. I really don't understand what it has a problem with. There's nothing I can see that's causing it, should be causing it a problem. Let's just double check that the mesh is correct. Okay, the only thing that's what I'm going to do here is, I'm in sub-object mode. No, that shouldn't be a problem either. It's all one piece of geometry. It really should not be causing a problem. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove the stained glass. Okay, well let's try that before we do that. Sniper Echo says that a post that he read says reset the X form and then recenter the pivot. Alright, let's give that a go. So we'll reset the X form again. I'll collapse my stack. I will reset the pivot. And just for good measure, I'll do another reset on my X form. And we'll make sure and do another reset on the pivot. Let's export it again and give it a go. We'll re-import it again. No, it still doesn't like it. Alright, let's try breaking the mesh down a little bit more until we get to the part that it doesn't like. I'm going to detach the stained glass. And I'm also going to detach the 2 side inlays as well. By breaking it down this way, hopefully we'll find the part of the mesh that Unreal doesn't like. Attach. Alright, let's give it a go this way. We're going to do... So we've got our stained glass separated, the outer frame separated from the 2 inner frame sections. Let's start with the outer frame. I'm going to export selected. We'll call it F for front door, outer frame. So we're going to start with just the outer frame. We'll export that and see if this will import into Unreal. So the outer frame imports correctly, so it's not a problem with that. Let's do the stained glass. And again, we're going to call it F door stained glass. Yeah. It is interesting. I've never seen that error before. And breaking it down this way, we should be able to either fix it or find a part of the geometry that it has a problem with. Let's try importing the stained glass now. Stained glass imported correctly. Alright, so the only bit left are these 2 inner sections. So we'll export those. I'm calling it F door frame inner. Jump back into Unreal and see if we can import that one. F door frame inner. And that imported correctly, so you tell me, I've got no idea. It didn't like it all together as one object, but it's quite happy to import it all separately. Let's try an experiment here. Let's select everything, because I'd really like to know why it has a problem. I'm going to hold down the shift key and shift drag a copy. And now on this copy, I'm going to reattach everything. So I'm going to start with the frame. And I'm going to attach the inner parts to the frame, and now I'm going to attach the stained glass to the rest of it. Just to make sure, we'll move our object. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now, Sniper Echo. Join the meshes as one object again and export it. That's what I'm doing just here. I want to test it. So we just made a copy and we're reattaching everything together again. Let's export selected. We're going to call it front door frame C for complete. Okay, jump back into Unreal and let's try and import that copy we just made. F door frame C for complete. And now it imported it correctly, so who knows. It brings it in fine once we've separated it out and brought it back in again. I don't know what Unreal's problem was. We got there in the end though, that's the important thing. So now we can delete those separate pieces that we brought in. So F door frame, we'll get rid of that one. We'll get rid of this one. Yeah, oh, you want me to join the original and try it again? It's working now, so we should be good. You may be right, now that we broke the mesh apart, we could probably reattach the original and it would work. But it's okay. The copy we made here works, so we can work with that copy. It's exactly the same. But hey, live and learn, it's something I didn't know myself. You ever run into that problem, break your mesh apart and reattach it, then re-export it and re-import it? It should work, it worked this time. It's one of those quirks of Unreal, I guess. Now, I think I have this material already created, so let me jump into my materials, because remember, bringing in a new mesh, Unreal automatically creates a new material for me. But because I use that material for this door section on this door, I think we've already got that material created. Yeah, right here. So I don't want to create another material exactly the same, because I'm just wasting memory, texture memory, computer memory, graphics card memory. Sniper Echo says it may have been the FBX file that was corrupted. That's very true as well. It could have been. So I did save it out to a different file name this time. So again, if you guys have that problem, obviously, either try saving it to a new file name or break the mesh apart into bits and then reattach it all together again. You don't have to break every bit apart, just the main parts. And it seemed to work in this instance anyway. Let's fix up our textures though. So we want to swap out this material for one we've already created. If I can find it. There, it's hiding up under here. I'm going to drag that up into my material slot. Save that object. And I'm going to do the same thing for the door. Sniper Echo says it seems like that is the thing in Max from what you're reading. Oh, okay. So Sniper Echo is saying Max seems to, so occasionally it'll corrupt your FBX file on export, which wouldn't surprise me. Max is full of little bugs like that. Let's swap out the texture for our front door as well, the material. I just want to use the one that we've already created. I'm going to throw that back on. No, okay. I'll save that out. I want to check something in a minute. I'm going to go back into my models folder here and delete the old material here that we don't need now. This grey material, that's very odd. That's assigned to that new mesh, but we're not using a grey material anyway. I'm going to drag up the front door frame. I'm going to drag in the actual front door as well. Now, I'm looking at these two doors, okay? We have our side doors here and we have our front doors here. Now, our front door here is exactly the same as this front door here. So, again, to save on texture memory, we really don't need this version of the front door. We should be able to use this one. An instance of this one here at the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that front door we just exported. I'm going to drag in the side door mesh that we used for this one. And we're going to use it instead, because if we can, I'm just going to check that the size is actually correct. because the front door maybe, yeah, the front door looks like it may be a bit bigger than the side doors. Now we may be able to get away with scaling the mesh if it's not too. It looks like it's going to be quite different though. The side doors are much narrower than the front door. We'll try doing a scale. We'll see if we can get away with doing a scale, but we may not be able to do it. No problem, Sniper Echo. Let's move it up a bit. Again, let's do our scale. I'm going to turn off grid. Turn off snapping. Okay, we can turn our grid and our snapping back on again. And we can probably get away with using that side door just scaled up a bit. That'll save us on a little bit of texture memory as well. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong door. There we go. I think, yeah, we can get away with using the side door for the front door. I'm just going to jump into my front view. In fact, I'm going to move my my objects over a bit so I can get a better view of them. Now I'll jump into my front view. I just want to look at that mesh a little bit more closely in wireframe mode. Again, I'm going to turn off snapping just at this stage. I'll jump back out of front view, back into our orthographic. I'm going to jump out into my top viewport here to make sure that the door is actually aligned inside the frame correctly. And we want to move it in and rotate it around just a little bit. And that should be good. Alright, let's select both of our objects and make a blueprint. So we're going to convert selected objects to blueprint, place them in our blueprint folder, and we're going to call this front door underscore prefab. So we have our mesh, our prefab door section all ready to go for when we want to drag it into the level. So let's just rotate our door around. This is just so I can get a better look at it in the viewport here, because we're going to be deleting it. I'm just putting it in the viewport so we can look at it in relation to the other assets that we've got. And yeah, I think our door is fine. We did scale it up a little. have a slight... We scaled it up a little. We used a copy of this door so that we're reducing the memory on the PC and graphics card because we're working with an instance of the same geometry. We just scaled it up in the X and the Y to fit the door. So that means that we can go back into our original models folder here and we can actually remove the front door. Because it's not being used. So now we have our two door sections ready to go in the for when we want to place them inside the actual Art Deco building. Now, thanks Sniper Echo. And like I said, if you can cheat anytime you can and reuse the geometry, it's always better. You're always going to reduce your memory count. And the door, just scaling the door up in the X and the Y a little bit, you can't tell that that's scaled geometry, it looks fine. So we deleted that original front door. We can make use of this one, a copy of this one here that we're using for the sides. We've got pretty much a lot of what we needed to do in now. Let's we've got these gate sections. I want to rebuild that, but I won't do that right now. And do try and make use of these blueprints. If you're working with geometry that's made up of a lot of different pieces, like we are here, where we have, you know, different separate door sections to the stained glass sections and separate urns here on the top of the stairs to the ironwork. Instancing those, creating a blueprint so they're easy to move and place in your level is always going to be a good way to go. So yeah, make use of blueprints because they are really handy if you're working with a model that has lots of different bits and pieces to it. Because like I said, this way we don't have to pull out the bits and pieces and put them all together when we're working inside the building itself, because it'll get much more difficult to work when we start working actually inside the building. Working on the outside is easy. You can move your camera around willy-nilly, but you'll find when you start working on the inside of these rooms inside the building, it's going to get much more fiddly to angle your camera around and not get it occluded by other stuff in the scene. So the more we can put our objects together into a blueprint like this, the easier it's going to be then for us to just drag our blueprint in pre-made to place it in the level. So we've done that with the railings, we've done it with the two side doors. We're going to do it also with the gate sections that we created, you know, those wrought iron sections that we're making for the gates inside the building. We're going to put those together into a blueprint. We're also going to put these sconces on wall sections and create a blueprint, lift sections of wall in a blueprint. Yeah, we'll end up doing all of that with blueprints. So we're going to use blueprints quite a bit with our model pieces. We're getting there though. I'm just going to delete this original one that Unreal didn't like, so I don't get confused. Now what's going on here? I'm just going to undo that because I've done something here that I'm not sure what's going on. All right. Make sure I select the back one. End isolation. Okay. Remove the back one. Okay. Now we've got our new one here that I'm just going to move back into line with the rest of our asset. Alright. We're getting there. We don't have a lot more. Well, we've got a few assets still to do, but a lot of them are going to be flat tile sections like these. And some of them, the texturing is okay. I won't change. Some of them I do want to change the texturing on though. I don't like... The textures are okay, but some of the UV mapping I've done is bad. Some of them I do want to change the UV maps on. Like I really don't like the texture I'm using for that blue rug. I have to change the colouring for some of these pieces of geometry to better match that cherry red colour, cherry wood red colour. But we're getting there. We're like probably just over halfway there with our assets. A lot of them, again, don't need much changes. Just things like a texture swap on that curtain. That curtain is okay. The shear is okay. I do want to retexture the stair section here, and I may end up changing the carpet as well that runs up the stairwell. The rug, though, will be okay, I think. There are another couple of rugs in the building I haven't pulled out that I remembered the other day, but again, they'll be fine. That's just a texture change, really. Aside from that, we don't have a lot of pieces of geometry left, really. So we should be able to get through it pretty quickly. And then we can tackle the main building itself, because like I said, I want to re-tile the roof. I don't like that texture at all. It's horrible. It's not even straight. It's just awful. You see this bend I've got going on here in my texture map? Just terrible, terrible, terrible. Embarrassingly terrible. So we're going to retile the roof. I want to add just a bit more detailing to the outside of the building, just to give it a bit more depth. And then we can be ready to start building it all again in Unreal. Putting it all together to rebuild it in Unreal from all of these different pieces. We're going to create an environment in Unreal as well for our building to sit in. Haven't decided exactly what environment yet, but we'll do something interesting. And we'll make sure that I'm probably going to be using speed trees to do the vegetation for the landscape, for the environment, for the building. We'll make sure that's all animated, so it all looks nice when we do our cinematic. Everything will be moving and swaying in the breeze and all that type of thing. And then we'll create our cinematic where we'll fly through the building. But I think we may leave it there for today, guys. I do want to thank you guys very much for hanging out with me and for watching. I will be back on again next week on Monday at 5 PM Pacific time in the US. I do always post 15 minutes before I go live to my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D, so keep an eye on that if you're not sure. Again, like I said, I want to thank you guys very much for hanging out and for watching, and you guys for popping into chat and saying hello as well, and for showing your work. Thank you very much for that. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to be working over the weekend, unfortunately. I got all the stuff to do for the studio. But that's okay. I like my work, so that's fine. And yeah, I'll see you next week, Sniper Echo. And again, like I said, thanks guys for watching, and have a great weekend. See you guys.